What if I told you that the creator monetization strategy you heard transform one creator's business is actually holding you back? So after spreadsheet level stalking over 1,000 creator businesses across 50 different niches so you don't have to, I found the missing piece that explains why some creators thrive while others struggle. Because here's the problem that no one is addressing. These one-size-fits-all business models do not account for the fact that we all run different channel types, and we all operate in different niches, and each of us have different audience sizes. So in this video, we dive in deep into those 3 factors, see how they mix and match to find what is the best creator monetization model for you. By the way, this video is going to be a part of my Build Your Magnetic Brand series, where I break down what I've learned from analyzing thousands of creator businesses, because I'm kind of on a mission to figuring out how overlooked creators, the ones doing the real work, I see you. You're posting, you're showing up even when you don't want to, and how to become the magnetic power player brand that you are, so you can stop hunting and begging and selling out your soul. This is step 1, finding your lucrative creator monetization model. Now, the first thing we need to figure out is, what is your channel type? We want to understand, what type of creator are you? Are you creating purely for expression, or are you creating for expression and income? The way someone finds you and why they would follow you sets the tone for what type of monetization makes the most sense. If you don't understand the emotional reason of why someone will follow you, you are at risk of creating the wrong offer. So let's break down the 5 core channel types. Entertainment channels are there to entertain. They're here to be a bit brain dead, to relax, to tune out of work. Creative expression channels are there for the audience to experience something, to be more present, immersed, or moved by the act of creation. Influencer and lifestyle channels are there for audiences to connect. They're there to either aspire, to relate, or to mirror a certain lifestyle. Educational and thought leadership channels are there to provide clarity. People tune into them because they're trying to understand something, to have something reframed, to grow, to solve their problems. News and media channels are there to inform. People follow because they're trying to stay updated and aware. Let's talk about the channel type that is, in my opinion, the fastest and easiest way to monetization, especially if you're willing to step into that business owner role. And that is the educational thought leadership channels. Recall, audiences are seeking these channels for clarity. They're here to understand something, get a new perspective, all of which helps someone solve a specific problem. And that means that audiences are most likely going to be buyers, because they're not looking to be brainless, to be entertained, to just connect. They are here to do. And that opens the door for hybrid and pure business monetization strategies, aka my favorite strategies, because they are controllable monetization, unlike pure influencer. See, most creators, when they're venturing into the passive income world, they're probably first introduced to hybrid monetization models. That is your low ticket digital products, membership subscriptions, or low to mid ticket courses. The reason being is because it's perceived to be easier to sell. Because it's in that low to mid ticket range, it doesn't make people feel like they need complex sales systems set up or have to do sales calls that perhaps a higher ticket offer may need. The second reason is that it's perceived to have hands-off delivery, meaning because of its lower price points, you don't feel like you need to do a lot of post delivery work. You can just kind of sell it and have people go on their way. And the last reason is that people perceive this to be highly scalable because of reasons 1 and 2. But here's the thing, it may not work for everyone, because the biggest constraint is audience size. Let's do some math together. To make the hybrid monetization model work sustainably long term, to start, you would need at least 1,000 to 5,000 active audience members. Keyword here is active. Sometimes just having followers of subscribers does not equate to active. It means people who really are fans of yours, like they're watching you regularly, which probably equates roughly to 20,000 to 100,000 monthly average views. Now, the reason why I made a differentiation between active audience members and how much views you can pull in is because there's 2 conversion rates that we need to take note of. Not every view translates to an active audience member, and not every active audience member translates to a buyer. So there's there's two conversion rates: view to active audience member and active audience member to buyer. But why do I say at least 1 to 5,000 active audience members? Let's say you have a $50 digital product. Most people will put $5,000 to $10,000 a month as their first income goal. To make that income goal, you would need to sell 100 to 200 units for that $50 product. Now I'm just going to take the average conversion rate, which is 5% for viewer to active audience member and 2% from active audience member to buyer. But we can see that if we're selling a $50 offer, we need between 100,000 to 200,000 monthly views across all of our content to get an active audience size of 5,000 to 10,000 so that we can sell 100 to 200 units to make that 5 to 10K a month. So in summary, what does all of this mean? Hybrid monetization strategies, especially for the low ticket, really rely on you being able to master how to get your content to get eyeballs on you. Failure to do so explains why some creators with 10,000 subscribers still struggle with number one, getting the low to mid ticket off the ground, because like what we mentioned before, just because you have followers doesn't mean they're active audience members. So it's either you perfect your content experience to ensure that people are not in and out viewers. This is something I talk about in previous videos, but they're actually engaged viewers who are going to come back. Or they struggle with two, the feast and famine problem, where they were successfully able to launch a low to mid ticket offer. They were able to get that quick cash influx, but now they're struggling with audience exhaustion, meaning they kind of tapped out all the buyers in their audience. So sales are drying up. And now they're in the famine part of this feast-famine cycle. And it's because they haven't perfected how to keep the system running, how to systematically get their content to keep getting views. So it's important that if you're really wanting to make it big with hybrid monetization strategies, that you put a lot of time and attention into really understanding how to get this view side really consistent, which I will go into far more depth in future videos. Like and subscribe. By the way, if you want to get my more nuanced behind the scenes insights, you can join my Thoughtboss Collective newsletter where I drop things before it even hits this channel, because it kind of takes a lot to put these videos together. Now let's say you've kind of gotten the views stabilized. The next kicker though is, does your niche actually have enough buyers? Because here is the thing. Some niches, no matter how hard you try, they will always have a cap, a ceiling, because of TAM. And that is total addressable market. Because TAM is essentially number one, how many people are even interested in this topic? Like you could be the top dog player in a niche, like underwater basket weaving, but like how many people are wondering how to underwater basket weave? That's an extreme example, but you get my point. Secondly, you need to ask yourself, of these people, how many are actively buying solutions? And thirdly, if they're buying solutions, how much are they willing to spend? Because some niches, no matter how consistent they get that views portion of their system going, their niche just does not have a large enough TAM to be able to scale low ticket offers. Especially a problem if you're someone with a bit higher income goals. The biggest markets with the biggest TAMs are personal finance, fitness and weight loss, mental health and self-improvement, dating and relationships, business and career growth. And this relates to sometimes that the channel type that you have can be attracting more watchers than buyers, aka people who are just showing up to watch and be brainless. For example, audiences tune into creative expression channels to experience and escape. Audience tune into news and media channels to be informed. Audiences tune into entertainment channels to be entertained. The common thing that connects all of these channels is that people come here to just exist. Because again, they're here to experience, not to act. And that is where things start getting tricky. Remember how we talked about how there's a conversion rate from active audience member to buyer? Well, if you're operating in one of these channel types, that conversion rate is probably going to be even lower. So if you're someone who's built out an audience, but you're having a tough time monetizing, this could be the reason why. Now, this is where that artist versus business owner question that I posed in the beginning of this video starts becoming important. Because you have to ask yourself, are you creating for expression and creation's sake? Or are you open to strategically shifting your content strategy to attract an audience filled with buyers? If you want to take the artist approach, all the power to you. You could continue doing what you want to do. And if you're like okay with the income, then just keep going. But if you're trying to push past a certain income ceiling, then we gotta make some big moves. You got two options. You either need to build a business that really works well off of volume, large audience numbers. Completely doable. We see a lot of success stories on this. This is gonna help offset those lower conversion numbers because you have the volume and the traffic to back it up. So it's about really doubling down and really focusing on how can you really up that views portion of your system. Here's someone who's succeeding. If we take a look at Made with Lao, they run a cooking channel built around Chinese family recipes. Now this channel is a type where I put in the middle of educational thought leader, people seeking clarity because they're just trying to figure out how to make their favorite Chinese dishes, but also it falls into creative expression channels because sometimes viewers are there to just look at beautiful food being made. Now remember how I talked about certain niches can determine how much you can charge? One of the problems that may occur if you're trying to go for mass numbers is that mass numbers are usually in the mass mainstream market. This may be a problem if you're trying to craft offers that are mid to higher ticket. Because the thing is, at the big mass market level, most of the audience is comprised of people who are beginners or just want to dip their toes in. So the probability of them dropping high ticket $1,000, $2,000 on a course is kind of slim. Now, what Made with Lao has done is that they doubled down on volume, trying to become one of the power players within their sub-niche, Asian cooking. They've really mastered that view component because they've really mastered their content format to consistently get high views. This allows them to go into pure influencer and hybrid monetization strategies with ease, whether that be merch, sponsorships, affiliates, or their low-ticket subscription, the Canto Cooking Club. This combined with their huge TAM, total addressable market potential, makes the math just math. So if you want to stay in that creative lane where you're kind of straddling two channel types, creative expression and thought leadership educational, then it's about really doubling down, really perfecting that views portion of your system and having the plans of becoming a power player in your niche. Now let's say going after volume, big numbers, just doesn't really interest you. Well, we have option two. If you do not want to play that mega traffic game, then we need to reposition. Start attracting people who are buyers, aka leaning more into thought leadership and educational channel types, and or going after people who are willing to pay mid to high ticket prices, aka going after a niche that has a bit higher buying intent and or spending power. One of my favorite examples of this is Philip Lemoine. He's someone who has expertise in cinematography. Now he could have easily built just a straight up creative expression channel where he just showcases his portfolio, but instead he blended his passion of food and his cinematography skills to create a thought leadership style channel. So instead of just entertaining or inspiring viewers with his cinematography skills, he's instead teaching people how to create beautiful food content. This is great for people who are starting cooking channels. And the result is that he doesn't need millions of views because he's going after a targeted buyers pool who has a problem that they're willing to invest money for. And that shift from artist to thought leader allows someone to start monetizing without having to go after views. Now, if this example of repositioning was intriguing to you, do not worry. In the niche portion of this series, I dive in deeper into how you can reposition, repackage, remessage yourself. By the ways, if you're watching this and you're going, okay, this makes so much sense, I want someone to specifically look at my situation and find my best fit model. Well, this video is sponsored by me. I do offer one-on-one consulting calls right now if you want to get clear on your business model, your business offer, your positioning based on where you're at right now. I'll drop the link in the description if you want to learn more. So that is hybrid monetization in a nutshell and kind of the considerations you need to go through if you wanted to go for that. Remember, there are 3 key factors that determines what is your ideal monetization strategy: your channel type, the niche you're operating in, how big its TAM is it filled with buyers, how much are those buyers willing to spend, as well as your current audience size, because we talked about the different conversion rates. If you run an educational thought leadership channel type with a large audience, with significant traffic coming in, talking 20,000 monthly views, you can potentially make a low to mid ticket offer work. You would need to be spending more time perfecting the views to keep this going, and of course, making sure your offer is not commoditized. If you're someone who hasn't been able to master getting those types of views, then you may want to consider first pure business models, which we'll talk about in the next video. Now, if you're in the other channel categories, such as the creative expression types, you can potentially still make low to mid ticket offers work, as we have showcased with Made with Lao. Or if you don't want to go after large traffic numbers, you can reposition and go after a buyer's market. Similar to how Philip Lamont, even though he's passionate about cinematography and food, he repositions himself to help food creators learn how to set up their filming tech. In my next video, I go even deeper into pure business monetization strategies, talk about if it's the right fit for you, what needs to be in place, and within pure business, there's certain offers that may work for some people and may not work for others.